Let us be dissatisfied until the tragic walls that separate the outer city of wealth and comfort from the inner city of poverty and despair shall be crushed by the battering rams of the forces of justice. Let us be dissatisfied.
Martin Luther King was an important part of the American civil rights movement in the 1960s. However, there was one campaign that not a lot of people talk about due to its controversy. So I asked two of my friends who are historical nuts, Alex Carlberg and Andrew Palczewski, if they could tell me more about this incident.
The biggest thing left out was King's Poor People's Campaign, which he started in 1967, where he met with a bunch of Southern Christian leaders, and he suggested a bunch of demonstrations and protests to garner rights for the working and unemployed poor people. He wanted to get unemployment insurance, educational programs that were going to help them in their self-image and self-respect. He was hoping to garner government jobs for some of those people, and he wanted to get a fair minimum wage established so that the working poor weren't suffering. He also wanted it to be a joint effort of all races, not just poor blacks. He got a bunch of Mexican, Native American, and even white organizations to cooperate in this movement. And in his own words, he described it as the beginning of a new era of cooperation, understanding, and a determination by poor people of all colors and backgrounds to assert and win their rights to a decent life and respect for their culture and dignity. After his death, his followers continued with the program, and the protests were demonstrated in many northern and southern states, their capitals or major cities, including Washington, D.C. And in Washington, D.C., they actually set up something similar to our Occupy Wall Street thing today, where they had this tent city put up on the mall where they demanded the rights previously stated, wanted a fair minimum wage and insurance for the unemployed. But after the death of Robert Kennedy, the movement died down, and subsequently it was forgotten because the views were deemed too left or socialist. So in our public education system, they don't teach it to us. It dies off at I Have a Dream speech.
Much of what Dr. King wished to accomplish in his campaign on poverty were clearly expressed in his 1967 speech, Where Do We Go From Here? In the speech, King clearly criticizes the capitalist system and called for a significant social change. He dreamed of an America without poverty, and he believed everyone should be entitled to a guaranteed annual income. He brings up the ideas of John Kenneth Galbraith, who said that a country that spent billions on fighting the Vietnam War and funding NASA could shift that spending to, quote, put God's children on their own 2 feet right here on earth, end quote. This could be done with about $20 billion a year, which was less than what was being spent to fight the Vietnam War. His criticism of capitalism and his hopes to provide guaranteed annual income worried many and led to the FBI to attempt to discredit King by stating that he had ties with the Communist Party of America. This is baseless, however, because in the same speech, King would criticize Marxism as well, as he believed both Marxism and capitalism to be unjust systems and sought a middle path between the two to achieve social justice. King's hopes of ending poverty have been severely overlooked. We remember the King who fought for equal rights in America, but we forget the King that was also a champion of the poor. He was a man who believed that true equality could not be possible until economic equality was stamped out as well as social inequality. Dr. King's work remains unfinished, and it is up to us and future generations to truly keep Dr. King's memory alive and seek to destroy all inequality wherever it is found.